Afternoon, guys. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. I'm out here today at the wall tent, and I'm in the kitchen area of the wall tent, which the wall tent's not very big, so the kitchen area takes up a pretty good space in here as far as being able to cook food and things like that. And what I wanted to do today was I wanted to talk to you about a project that we are developing at Self-Reliance Outfitters under the Pathfinder brand that I've been working on for a couple of years, trying to get it coordinated. It's been in development, serious development, for about the last year. And just in the last 4 to 5 months, we've really gained some heavy steam on this because there were some hiccups and things we had to work through with the factory. And the factory that we work with overseas, we've worked with for over 10 years on our Pathfinder products. So every piece of stainless steel that we sell, for the most part, comes from that single factory. And so anything that we develop new, we develop with that factory, with their engineers, back and forth to develop these projects. So one of the things that's been near and dear to my heart ever since my days of reenacting, and you can go back in my videos 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, and see in some of my more traditional camps, I was using cold handle skillets, okay? And we developed, one of the first things that I developed with our stainless steel was a folding handle skillet. And, you know, I still want to use one to this day right here, okay? And there's nothing wrong with this. However, you know, with carbon steel being so near and dear to my heart, I've always wanted to develop some type of carbon steel skillet. I actually had folding handle carbon steel skillets that I used to make back in the 80s when I was doing 18th century reenacting. So back in those days, I would take these old cold handle skillets and I would find one that was roached out really bad, and I would cut the handle completely off of it, and I would rivet a hinge in there with a folding handle. And I used to sell these things back in the 80s from a sutler's tent when I was doing reenacting. So I've been using these cold handle skillets for years and years and years. And I introduced a lot of people that like them now to the cold handle skillet because I just love the carbon steel skillet and the traditionalism of carbon steel. What I prefer to cook with in carbon steel skillets or cold handle skillets is actually a little bit thicker gauge steel. Okay, this is an older one that I haven't used for a long time. It's got a little bit of surface oxidization in it, but it is a heavier gauge than this one is. I think you can see that on the video here. And the gauge of steel that this is makes it cook better, I think. It just seems to not warp in the fire as bad as some of these older skillets did. These thinner gauge skillets seem to warp in the fire if they were unattended for very long. The heavier gauge steel didn't do that. So I always prefer these heavier gauge skillets, and I've got a full set of these in the outfitter's kitchen. Everything from 6-inch to 12-inch that nest inside of each other, hanging down in the outdoor kitchen. I'm sure you guys have seen them in some of my videos in the background. But again, there's nothing wrong with these cold handle skillets either. I've been selling these for quite a while on my Etsy store, probably over a year. I've been selling these things on my Etsy store, maybe even longer than that. Because a lot of people have interest in using this type of carbon steel skillet to cook in. So it's one of the things that I've been trying to work on development of for a long time, a carbon steel skillet with a folding handle to match our cook system so it was nestable and packable. So to that end, what I'm going to show you today is a folding handle carbon steel skillet. If you look at this carbon steel skillet, it's the same gauge as that heavier gauge carbon steel that I'm so fond of. So it's not real thin. It's not going to warp. It's not going to get bent. This carbon steel has a new nitrite treatment to it. It's not really a coating. It's a treatment because it's embedded in the metal. And it's used worldwide in restaurant carbon steel skillets. It's non-stick, and you never have to season the skillet. It's basically non-stick from the word go. And the nitrite is 100% inert and perfectly safe. Like I said, it's used in restaurant skillets worldwide. It doesn't do anything to the skillet at all as far as changing the color. It's solid black. It's not a coating that wears off or anything like that. All it does is add scratch resistance, non-stick, and it keeps it from rusting as quickly. It's carbon steel. All carbon steel skillets will rust over time if they're not taken care of. This inhibits the rust as well. The handle on this is the exact same handle with just a little bit of difference in shape at the bottom as the skillet that we have currently. It's exactly the same handle design, bracket design, locking design. Everything's exactly the same except that shape there at the bottom where this is at an angle and this is round. Other than that, it's exactly the same. The handle locks exactly the same way when you open it up and slide that forward. You have a lock so that it doesn't move on you. And the weight of this skillet is a little bit more than the stainless steel, but not a ton more. And it's nowhere near what something like cast iron would be. If you've ever used one of these cold handle skillets, you understand the weight of these compared to cast iron. Much, much less. But it cooks like cast iron. It heats like cast iron. It's non-stick like cast iron. And it seasons well. Although this nitrite impregnation in this carbon steel requires it not to have to be seasoned. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take this thing, brand new, never been cooked in before. And we're going to cook eggs in this bad boy and show you how non-stick it is with no greasing, no preheating and all that business, and seasoning the skillet. We're going to take it right out of brand new and we're going to cook eggs in it. So stay with me. All right, get ready. First time. Now, as you can see, I'm not putting anything in this thing. No butter, no pre-seasoning, no nothing. Look at that. Nothing to it, huh? The great thing about this nitrate coating is you don't scratch it either with a metal spatula. So you're not scratching seasoning off of it. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. That thing is nice. All right. Let her go a little longer here and we'll give her a flip. What do you reckon? Look at that. Man, oh man. Look at that. Right on the edge. There we go. Golly. Look at that. Beauty. Nothing to it. Look at that. Ready to go. Nothing to it. Holy crap. Can you see that? Now watch this. Drop a little water in here. Glaze that dude. Like that. Just like a wood cast iron. Let's dump this right outside the wall tent real quick. Come right back in here and just wipe that dude out. There we go. Like new money, ready to go again. We got egg ready to eat. Still a little warm. All right, guys, so wasn't nothing fancy about that. It was just a quick cook an egg in a skillet, basically an out-of-the-box skillet with no pre-seasoning or anything like that done to the skillet. And the reason I wanted to do that was to show you how good these skillets cook. Now, obviously, when we're developing products, sometimes there's hoops you've got to jump through. We've been working with our stainless steel factory, like I said, for 10 years, and we asked our stainless steel factory to make this skillet entirely at first about a year ago, and they told us that they could not work with carbon steel, that they only worked or specialized in stainless steel. So the handle of this thing being the stainless steel, just like the handle and bracketing that's on our other skillets, our 8-inch and 10-inch stainless steel skillets. So we had to find a factory that made restaurant supply style carbon steel skillets that would work in conjunction with our factory to supply them the skillet itself so that our factory could, in turn, put our handle and quality inspect everything before they ship to the US. Now, the first question is going to be, when is this thing going to be available? It's going to be probably third, fourth quarter. All right. I want to test this one for a couple of months before I turn them on to a mass production situation. I want to make sure that everything's exactly like I want it to be. Right now, I love this thing so much I could almost sleep with it because I just love the old carbon steel skillets that much. And this thing is the best of all worlds right here. This is not a new concept. Abercrombie and Fitch had folding handle skillets. In fact, I have two of them, one 8-inch, one 10-inch, that came in some cook sets back in the 1920s. I've got 4 service cook sets that have folding handle 8-inch skillets in them. It's very similar to this. The gauge of steel is almost very similar as well. The handle is less modern. The bracketing is less modern, obviously, than this one is. It doesn't have the nitriding on it, so it's just carbon steel. It's black and gunked up from seasoning and things like that. But this is going to be the modern rendition of that. And that's really one of the things that I thrive on every day, is being able to take those old-timey things, those concepts and ideas that were, long ago and almost lost in time now, and bring them back, because they're not bad. They were just forgotten. And the cold handle skillet was around for a long time. In fact, cold handle skillets were still available up into the 1990s on Amazon from Jacob Bromwell. So don't think because you buy a cold handle skillet, it's necessarily a, ancient antique from the Civil War or from the cowboy era, because it may not be. It may be fairly new. You just don't know it when you buy it. There's certain logos on these handles and things like that that make them different. Jacob Bromwell didn't have logos on his handles at all. So I can tell the difference fairly well by looking at them. Some people can't, and the layperson who's buying those type skillets probably can't. However, when you buy this, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a Pathfinder product guaranteed for life without question, that has been taken through a development process, rigorous testing and research and development to get a product that's going to be perfect for your cook set. This skillet is not going to be much more expensive, if any more expensive, than the current stainless steel skillet that we sell today. But again, we've got to finish the R&D process, make sure there's nothing else we need to do to this skillet, make sure that this is the exact final rendition that we want. Hopefully, third quarter, we'll have these skillets for sale. But for now, this is just a good taste of what's Dave up to and the transparency of the development process through time. Because like I said, to this point, we're talking almost 2 years from when I thought about it in my head to the time I have it in my hand. And almost a year of beating the bushes, trying to figure out how to make this happen with a factory that only worked with stainless steel. And now we have it. All right. So you got the first look today. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, for our business, all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. And I'll be back with more videos from the wall tent as soon as I can, fellas. Thanks.